So, in dealing with matrimonial law, I'm often asked the question, what are the top signs that your marriage might likely end in divorce? And there are several answers to this question, but I think some of the major themes are if you and your future spouse have major differences about important topics such as politics or religion. Another issue that often comes is, what does our post-marriage life look like? Because the life that you have while you're single or recently cohabitating or, engaged can look very different after you have children. One partner might want to still enjoy the life where they're living in another state far away from family. The other partner might want to move back closer to be with family after they have children because they need that added support. If there's major differences and your inability to make concessions or compromise on those themes, you could likely be headed towards a divorce. Another issue is if parties are uncomfortable discussing important topics prior to marriage, such as finances. Who will handle what? What are the expectations? Are those expectations going to change once we have children? If you're unable to communicate about those sometimes uncomfortable topics openly, it's a sign that perhaps your union might not be as strong as you think it might be. Couples need to have these conversations and need to have them frequently. One of the top reasons for divorce is finances. So kids come into the picture in a marriage and things change completely. What might have worked for you guys while it was just the two of you completely might go out the window once you have kids. Kids can completely change the dynamic of a marriage. It can cause additional support that's needed from one spouse that they perhaps weren't used to giving. It can cause the necessity to move to be closer to one side's respective family in order to have additional support. And then that can trigger additional issues, such as more involvement with the extended family that didn't exist prior to the marriage, perhaps because you guys simply just lived far. So these conversations are important to have as they're kind of happening, as well as what are the expectations as the kids get older. You need to have conversations with, do you expect to spend more financial resources on education, such as private education? Is that important? Is religious education important? What are the expectations as the kids get older? Is it important to spend some of the couple's financial resources on extracurricular activities? Would you prefer to spend that on family trips versus soccer, karate, etc.? Unaligned expectations such as what faith the kids will be raised in, how much to spend on their private education, or if they're going to be in public school, how much to spend on extracurricular activities, what extracurricular activities. All of those are important considerations to have transparent communication about as the child develops. Being unaligned in finances and expectations is another leading cause of divorce. Seasons of life change, income may change. For example, you might have met your spouse while in residency and you earned a relatively low wage, but now you're making a lot more money as an attending. Are you on the same page with your spouse about how to treat that high jump in income? Couples need to be on the same page about what percentage of income will be used for recreational activities such as vacations, what percentage of income will go towards investments, whether or not income towards life insurance or disability insurance will be paid, what amount of income is going to be deposited into a joint account, what amount of income is going to be treated as, separate income, and whether or not even if the spouse will have an individual bank account or everything will be commingled in a joint account. How much income will be devoted to childcare, whether it makes sense for one spouse to stay at home and so there's not additional income spent on house care, how to treat that loss of an income of one spouse over the other. These are all important conversations to have before you get married, in the initial phases of your marriage, and once again, as children come into the picture and additional expenses come up. As well, if there's any major life change, such as an inheritance or such as a drastic change in income, be it an increase or a decrease. Another important aspect of a healthy marriage is the ability to have transparent and clear communication, especially as to issues that need to be treated with a level head or logic and not let things become too emotional. It's very easy just to disagree, to become upset, to walk away, and to not have these difficult conversations. However, if you're unable to have these conversations in any productive way, even after a cooling off period, it can be a sign that your marriage is not built to last. if you're seeing these red flags in your marriage or you're considering a separation, please do contact Next Chapter Family Law for us to help you work through it.